Hey YouTube, it's your boy, Analysis, and for my 100k subscriber special, I'm gonna be doing what you guys requested. You asked for it, here it is, the hottest anime, Hani no Senshi, Winnie Pu The Z, or as it was localized, Winnie the Pooh, the Honey Warrior X. Now for the purposes of this analysis, we're only gonna be looking at the anime. We are not gonna be going into the video game or the original manga. We are only gonna be looking at the sub versus the dub. So, with no further ado, let's get into it.
Winnie Pu 行かなければならない。あなたは理解しません。
してください。あなたが私にチャンス当ててくれないかどうか、ピグレットちゃん。
これで自分です、ピグレットちゃん。ウィニープー、目標を達成するために必要なことはでもしなければなりません。
ピグレットちゃん、あなたをそれできます。
I have to go. You wouldn't understand.
Please, you don't have to be alone. How do you know I wouldn't understand if you won't give me a chance?
That's enough, Piglet. I must do whatever it takes to complete my goals. I'm sorry if this scares you.
I am scared, but I'm scared for you. So right off the bat, you can tell this was dubbed by Funimation. Popular Funimation VA Laura Bailey is playing Piglet-chan, or as they were localized, Piglet. I mean, I don't really approve of that name change, but whatever. Let's move on from there. That's going to be a consistent problem. And Troy Baker voices Winnie Pooh. You know, I don't really have a problem with these castings. I think they have really good voices and they really fit the roles. They're very similar to the original Japanese, though I don't think they have as much emotion as the original sub, you know, the original Japanese voice actors. In the original Japanese, the voice of Pooh is Tomokazu Sugita. He plays Kion in Haruhi Suzumiya, and he's Chrom in Fire Emblem. You might know him from there. And Pigretto is played by Kaori Fukuhara, who you might know as Tsukasa from Lucky Star, or Pearl Faye, young Pearl Faye from Ace Attorney. Yeah, it's true that Laura Bailey is not really the squeaky voice anime girl type like Kaori, but I think she pulls it off. She's good, you know, I don't really have a problem. So despite some few translation errors, like mostly changing Winnie Pooh's name, I don't know why they changed it to Winnie the Pooh. Makes him sound like a piece of poo. Is this supposed to make things more clear for the audience? I don't know, man. All I know is Winnie Pooh's his name. Don't really like the translation of his name, but or Piglets from Pigretto. But I'm totally fine with the voice actors here. They're good. But let's see what happens with other voice actors.
友達はあなたの弱です、ウィニープー。
ウィニープー友達がいません。もう違います。
ティガ様、ラビットの庭をスカード化にしません。私の庭それでおしまい。あなたは最後に私よい押してください、ラビット。
なんだ
Your friends are your weakness, Winnie the Pooh.
I don't have any friends. Not anymore.
If you really believe that, then you won't mind if I destroy Rabbit's garden.
My garden! That's it! You've messed with me for the last time, Tigger!
Good. Then show me why you were born, Rabbit.
What the?
Finally, we're getting to the best character. Yes, Tiga-sama, the character everyone loves. The single greatest character in anime, always topping #1 in the polls. So, this is a character I think they really did an injustice to. In the original Japanese, Tiga-sama is the kind of character that doesn't use honorifics for anybody else, but for himself, he talks in the third person, he calls himself Tiga-sama, and it just really shows how brash he is and kind of egotistical, and he just doesn't care about the rules, he's kind of rebellious, doesn't care about being polite. But in the English version Funimation did, he kind of just doesn't talk in the third person, he doesn't call himself Tiga-sama or Lord Tigger or whatever. Yeah, they also changed his name to Tigger because he's a tiger. Like what a little kid would call him, whatever. But I think the bigger problem is really the voice acting. Because the guy they cast in English is Sam Riegel. And while he's a good voice actor, he doesn't sound like Tiga-sama. Tiga-sama is supposed to be regal and prince-like, you know, the kind of guy who acts like he's just a joker and he's silly, but in reality, he's got a secret, you know, a lot of pain that he's hiding inside, maybe even a dark side inside of him. He's not evil, but there is a bit of a villainous side. So he's really great. In fact, in Japanese, he's voiced by Masaya Onosaka, who plays Zelos, who you can see here, I think, is the perfect Tiga-sama example. On the other hand, we have Rabito, or as they localized him as Rabbit. At least they didn't call him Labbit, right? So in Japanese, it's Shuhei Sakaguchi. He's kind of a comedy relief type voice actor. He plays Kawachi in Yakutate, Japan. But in English, it's Chris Sabat, the voice of Piccolo and Vegeta. And I gotta tell you, even though this is completely the wrong type of voice, it's not comedy relief, it's like serious and tough, I still think it works, man. I don't know what to tell you. I think it's really funny. It made me laugh. I gotta say, mad props to you, Chris Sabat. It still feels like Rabito's taking himself way too seriously, even though he's not that good. I think that you really pulled it out. You went outside the box, but it worked. Sam Riegel, I think, is a good voice actor, but I don't think that the way it was played here was right. I think he really got the role because he did it in the video game. You know, he played Tiga-sama for the fighting crossover video game, and just because of that, he got it here too. I don't necessarily think he would have gotten cast as Tiga or played him this way if he hadn't been in the video game. So, let's do another scene.
ふくらさん、どうやって知ることができますか？女性の血の術。
ティガさんは死ぬでしょう。こんな不可能な事実は避けられません。
Tiga Aniki!
Tiga-sama Sudanese. Jinsei o koru toto desu. あなたのことなの
Tiga Aniki.
なぜリュウツクは唯一の本なのか？
あなたは良い子者。どのよ戦士の道を理解できましたか？
あなたは Tiga-sama を育てたカンガさん。しかし Tiga-sama 姉妹も感謝もしません。これが Tiga-sama 誕生の意味です。
Tiga Aniki! How could you know how a woman thinks and feels? You don't!
Tiga will die. This unassailable fact cannot be avoided.
Big brother!
I already knew that. For anything to live, it has to kill.
So that's why.
Big brother. Why do we have to kill? Why does anyone have to die?
You chose the path of the nurturer. How could you understand the path of the warrior?
You raised me, Kanga. You gave me a home after my parents died. But I won't say sorry or thank you. This is what I was born for.
Big brother!
So this is the part where things start to kind of fall apart. First thing, Kanga-san. You'll notice in Japanese, she's Masako Katsuki, the woman who voices Tsunade in Naruto. You know, she has that really like badass woman kind of voice, you know, where like she could be your mom, but she could also beat your ass. You know, she's great. She's scary, but she's also maternal. But in English, it's Stephanie Sheh. Now, Stephanie Sheh has been in a lot of stuff, but sometimes she does the squeaky voice anime girl, like she did when she was in Haruhi Suzumiya and she played Mikuru. But she's done other roles too, like when she was Natalia in Tales of the Abyss, she did the more mature type voice. And if she'd done a voice like that, I think she would have been perfect. I don't know why they had her do the squeaky voice thing for Kanga-san. It doesn't fit. I feel like the director messed up. It was supposed to be Pigaretta who had that kind of voice. Why didn't they switch to Laura Bailey and Stephanie Sheh? It's a disservice. She's the main female next to Pigaretta, you know, kind of like a dark parallel to Pigaretta. And now it's gone. She's just kind of annoying. Totally takes away from her. Owl is voiced in Japanese by the legend, the man, the myth, Norio Wakamoto. He's been in freaking everything. I mean, he was Cell in DBZ. He was Emperor Charles Lee Britannia in Code Geass. I mean, he is just the badass of your childhood. And him as Owl is great because Owl really understands the will of the honey, you know? He's not an oracle or a prophet. He's just so wise and has such a deep understanding of the will of the honey that he knows how things are going to go. He can foresee it. And surprisingly, you know, newcomer Justin Briner, who voiced him in English, really knocks it out of the park. I think he's one of the highlights. I'm not really familiar with his work, so I wouldn't know what he's been in, but I think he totally captures that depth. Some people said he was a little too funny, but I think the humor he injects into it works. I don't think it takes away from the seriousness. You'll also notice I said Owl. That's not actually his name. That's right. If you got mad that I called him Owl, I can tell you're a real fan. His real name is Fukuda. It is not Owl. Like, you got to change a character's name to Owl just so that we know he's an owl. Fukuda-san is his name. They didn't need to change it. I don't know why they did it. I mean, I don't know. Does anyone have any information why they made this change? Is there something about this in the manga? I don't know. I haven't read it yet. I have a friend who's a huge fan, keeps telling me to read it. Probably I'll do a review about that some other time if you guys want me to, but I don't know. The other thing about this scene that really bugs me is actually, again, Tiga-sama. If you notice in the Japanese version, Tiga-sama calls Kanga Kanga-san, right? And that's a huge deal because he doesn't use honorifics for anybody but himself. And this is because he was abandoned. He was unwanted. We don't know what happened to his parents. So Kanga taking him in, even though he still holds all these feelings of like being unwanted and not good inside, really she's the only person that showed him kindness. So him calling her Kanga-san is the only way he can show respect, because he can't really show her love or say how he feels otherwise because of his destiny as a warrior. So it's really important to the character, and the fact that they completely cut it from the English takes away from his character. I also noticed a weird mistranslation where he says, "You took me in after my parents died." That doesn't make sense. If the parents died, it's not his fault he's an orphan. He blames himself for being an orphan because his parents abandoned him. He thinks there was something wrong with him. If his parents just died, well, that's nobody's fault, you know? Well, whatever. Let's just see something else.
本当に神がいればなぜこの世の世界を作り出すのだろう。
アルニツー、クリストファー・ロビンさん。ウィニープー、あなたを離れなければなれません。
Damn it. If there really is a god, why would he create a world like this?
One day you'll understand, Christopher Robin. But when that day comes, I will have to leave you.
So here we have Christopher Robin-san, or as they called him, Christopher Robin. If you're an FMA fan, you probably immediately recognize his English voice as Vic Mignogna. And I know Vic Mignogna gets a lot of crap. People say, oh, he does the same voice. But you know what? I don't care that he did his Edward Elric voice here. It fits. I think he actually did a real good job. So, man, you know, whatever. Stop the hate. Vic Mignogna, you pulled it off. You know, it's good. It wasn't quite as good as the original Japanese, but it never will be, because the original Japanese seiyuu is Marina Inoue. I'm not quite sure how to say that, but she's Armin in Attack on Titan, and I don't know how she can be like monotone, but at the same time emotional. It's really incredible, and I think she's just one of the greatest seiyus of all time. And I sometimes wish that she could have done it in all languages, but, you know, since we couldn't have that, having Ed from FMA was still really good, and it worked. You'll notice, though, that in the English version, they kind of took out the theme about growing up and becoming a man. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe they'll add it in later. It was kind of weird. The weirdest thing, though, is Troy Baker sounds kind of weird here. Like, it's not him. And I'm not sure. I couldn't find any way to, like, prove this. But I'm almost certain that that's Matthew Mercer. That for some reason, Troy Baker's not doing the role anymore. Now Matthew Mercer is. I don't know if it's a scheduling thing or a union thing or whatever. But I'm almost certain. I haven't been able to verify it. Like I said, it's just me. I have a real good ear for this sort of thing, you know. But if anyone has any information, just leave me a comment and let me know. There's one more scene I want to look at real quick, and then we'll talk about the title.
グリトゥルクル別の方法の私たちを見つからなければなりません。
ピグレット、ありがとう。私に気づいた。
最近はよく触れられないのですか？この残酷な世界に希望はありませんか？神々を見てお無視することはできません。
神は、そしてはクリストファー・ロビンです。
それだ。私たちの唯一の希望は
ハニの戦士、ウィニー・プー。
Oh, great Oracle. There has to be another way. Tell me, please.
Piglet, thank you for noticing me.
Can't these terrible things be stopped? Is there really no hope in the world? Even if God has forgotten about us, surely he can hear our cries.
Christopher Robin is God, and he is already dead.
Then, that means our only hope.
The Honey Warrior, Winnie the Pooh.
Bam, straight out the gate, there you go, the Oracle, or as they call the Oracle in English, Eeyore. I guess they also call them the Oracle Eeyore. I guess, I don't know why that is, to sound kind of like an I, like Eeyore, but also sound like an ear, so it's like Eeyore, Eeyore together. You get Eeyore, ear and eye. So I guess that's their way of saying Oracle. It works, you know, whatever. I don't really like name changes. I wish they'd kept all the original names, but it's fine. The thing I wanted to point out here was not actually the Oracle, because they sound pretty good in both English and Japanese. They're comparable. But actually, Pigureta, she also sounds different here. And it's really good. I'm not saying it's bad. It's still really good. But in the English version, I think this is not Laura Bailey anymore. I think, again, this might be Alexis Tipton. And I'm like, what the heck? Why is it Alexis Tipton and not Laura Bailey anymore? Again, I haven't verified this. It's really hard to verify, but it sounds like Troy Baker and Laura Bailey get replaced by Matthew Mercer and Alexis Tipton. They are the voices that did it in the video game. I don't know why they would need to switch them in the anime. Maybe they just decided to keep it all consistent. I'm not sure, but it's fine. You know, I like Alexis Tipton a lot too. Just like I like Matthew Mercer, they're all great. I just like consistency, you know? It's just one of those things, takes you out of the world. I like consistency. I think the only voice actor I didn't mention was Rue a couple clips ago, but no one cares about little kids. They all sound like little kids. I think in English he's voiced by Mokuba's VA or something, but whatever. So that's it. That's all the clips. Now we can talk about the title. So some people have asked me, why did they change it from The Z to X? Well, that's actually easy to explain. In English, when we have something we want to make mysterious, we can add an X to it. That's why we have the X-Men, or in Powerpuff Girls, it's Chemical X. But in Japan, X is what they use for crossovers. So if you've ever seen like a Japanese crossover game, it'll often have an X in it, or even just be called like X something. But that is actually pronounced cross to them. So they can't use X the same way we do. The letter they use in Japan is Z. To them, that's the mysterious letter. They use it in Dragon Ball Z. Also, when the Powerpuff Girls got an anime, they changed Chemical X to Chemical Z. But in the English-speaking parts of the world, at least where I'm from, it means sleeping. Like Z is what you think of when someone's snoring. They go zzz, you know? So that doesn't really work to like pump someone up and make them think something's mysterious. So they changed it from Z to X. It's an annoying change, but it's not necessarily a bad one. I get it. You know, not everyone's like multicultural or up on like Japanese culture or whatever. So it's fine, you know, whatever. What bothers me more is, of course, changing Winnie Pooh's name, like I said, but even worse, changing Hani no Senshi to the Honey Warrior. That's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Hani no Senshi is perfect. They should have just kept it the Hani no Senshi. But if they had to change it, it should have been the Warrior of Honey. That gives you a sense that he's fighting for the honey, that the honey chose him. He's walking the path of the honey. By calling him the Honey Warrior, it sounds like he's fighting honey, or like he's a warrior made of honey. Worst case, it's like you're boyfriend or girlfriend, you know, my honey's a warrior, and it makes it sound like a stupid, like, shoujo instead of the badass philosophical shonen that it is. So, those are my thoughts on Hani no Senshi. Check it out, sub or dub, whatever you prefer. Tell me in the comments. If you want me to do a video about the manga or the video game, just let me know. Smash that subscribe button, smash that like button. You know I'm always here for you. Once again, this is Analysis, your boy, analyzing animation.